Welcome to Warland's Archive channel. The year is 1914. Europe stands like a powder keg, tense, proud, and dangerously connected. Great empires rule the continent. The British, the French, the Germans, the Austro-Hungarians, and the Russians. All of them armed to the teeth. All of them convinced they stand on the right side of history. Treaties bind them, alliances like chains. If one moves, they all move. If one falls, the rest are pulled down with it. But beneath the uniforms and flags is a boiling cauldron: nationalism, old grudges, and imperial greed. In the Balkans, tension crackles like lightning. Serbia wants independence from Austro-Hungarian control. Russia supports them. Austria watches with fury. Then, a spark. June 28, 1914. Sarajevo. A young Serbian nationalist pulls a pistol from his coat. 2 gunshots echo. The Archduke of Austria-Hungary is dead. What should have been a regional crisis becomes a global disaster. One by one, the dominoes fall. Declarations of war erupt like thunder. In just weeks, the world plunges into a war like none before. Machine guns, barbed wire, gas. A local spark ignited a world conflagration. Austria-Hungary, enraged by the death of its heir, blames Serbia. Demands are sent, designed to be rejected, and when Serbia doesn't fully comply, Austria-Hungary declares war. July 28, 1914. The first cannon shot echoes, but it will not be the last. Russia moves quickly, mobilizing its massive army to defend its Slavic cousin. That act alone sets off alarm bells in Berlin. Germany, allied with Austria-Hungary, declares war on Russia. But Germany knows a two-front war could be deadly, so it strikes first against the West. Germany invades neutral Belgium to reach France, and with that single decision, the world changes forever. Britain, protector of Belgium and ally of France, joins the war. The British Empire, spanning the globe, now enters the fight. In just 1 week, Europe descends into chaos. What began as one empire against one small nation now pulls in 6 of the world's greatest powers. Lines are drawn. Troops mobilize. Across continents, people cheer, weep, and wonder, how long could it last? They called it the war to end all wars, but the ending was nowhere in sight. By late 1914, the Western Front had become a graveyard of steel and mud. Soldiers slept in flooded dugouts. Their world was narrow, alive with the rattle of rifles, the crash of artillery, the hiss of poison gas. Every dawn brought new hell, waves of men climbing out across no man's land, only to be cut down by machine gun fire. Artillery barrages blasted for hours before an assault, crating the earth, uprooting trees, burying men alive. And when the guns paused, silence fell, a silence so thick it screamed. This was no swift war. It was attrition, a grinding, endless war of exhaustion. Trench raids at night, gas attacks at dawn, rats and disease inside the trenches. Fear was constant, fatigue eternal. Letters home became lifelines, snapshots of a world trapped under doubt and fear. Wounds became permanent companions, loss everyone's burden. Between lines lay no man's land, a wasteland of barbed wire, muddy craters, and the unknown. To cross it was to risk death by bullet, shell, or mined, and those who made it often found only bodies in ruin. The trenches shaped everything: tactics, lives, and the world's understanding of modern warfare. 2 brutal years of stalemate locked Europe in place, until new weapons, new strategy, and fresh troops would break the mold. But in this brutal world of mud and wire, humanity was buried deeper than any trench. At first, America stood still, watching a world tear itself apart from across the ocean. President Woodrow Wilson pledged neutrality, calling the nation too proud to fight. But the war kept knocking. May 7th, 1915, the RMS Lusitania is sunk. Nearly 1,200 dead, 128 of them Americans. Public anger swells. Still, America waits. Then, in 1917, the Zimmermann Telegram, a secret German offer to help Mexico reclaim U.S. territory. Intercepted, exposed. That was a spark. The illusion of safety shattered. President Wilson stands before Congress, declaring, "The world must be made safe for democracy." On April 6, 1917, the United States declares war on Germany. America stumbles in late, but brings fresh troops, fresh steel, and the full weight of an awakened giant. The war would never be the same again. America had declared war, but it was not yet ready for war. No standing army to speak of, no war industry, no battle-hardened generals. But in months, the arsenal of democracy would awaken. Posters went up, bonds were sold, millions enlisted. The nation turned itself into a war machine almost overnight. They called them doughboys, young, untested, and burning with purpose. They boarded troop ships not knowing where they'd land, or if they'd ever return. Across the sea, a continent in ruins waited for help, and the doughboys were coming. They had crossed an ocean. Now, they crossed into history. By mid-1918, the U.S. Army arrived in full force, not as scattered advisors, but as whole divisions, raw, eager, unblooded. The doughboys trained hard, learning trench life, learning to live with death just over the wall. They were modern, they were fearless, and unlike their exhausted allies, they were fresh. To the Germans, they were a new storm rising. To the Allies, there was salvation with American flags stitched to their sleeves. The doughboys had arrived, and the war would never be the same. They were denied respect at home, but on foreign soil, they became legends. The 369th Infantry Regiment, nicknamed the Harlem Hellfighters, was one of the most decorated units of World War I. But they fought 2 battles, one against the enemy abroad and one against racism at home. America wouldn't let them fight alongside white troops, but France did, and the Hellfighters showed the world what courage truly looks like. They served 191 days in combat, longer than any other American unit. They never lost ground. They never gave up a man to capture. Private Henry Johnson was on sentry duty when a German raiding party attacked. Alone and outnumbered, he fought like a lion, rifle, grenades, and finally, a bolo knife. He killed 4, wounded many more, and saved his fellow soldier's life. For that, France awarded him the Croix de Guerre, its highest honor. They returned home as heroes, but America stayed silent. No parades, no honors, just more struggle. They were warriors, brothers, and trailblazers. The Harlem Hellfighters didn't just fight in the Great War. They made history. Spring 1918. Germany's final gamble surges west like a tidal wave. Paris is in sight. The Allies are staggering. But then the Americans arrive. Cantigny, the first major American assault. Doughboys storm trenches, bayonets flashing, machine guns rattling. The Germans are stunned. The Americans hold their ground. Then comes Belleau-Wood, a forest-turned slaughterhouse. The Marines fight with savage intensity, hand to hand, inch by inch. A German officer calls them Teufelsschund, devil dogs. Their answer to retreat? Hell no. Belleau becomes a crucible where the U.S. Marines earn their legend. The tide turns. The German advances stop cold. The Americans are no longer green. They are the spearhead of a new counteroffensive. In the mud and the blood of 1918, America didn't just join the war. It changed the war. September 26, 1918. The silence of the Argonne Forest shatters as 1.2 million Americans surge forward. It is the largest offensive in U.S. military history. The goal, break the German lines, once and for all. The stakes, nothing less than the end of the war. For 47 relentless days, Americans fought through forests, hills, and fortified German bunkers, inch by inch, day and night. No rest, no retreat. Nearly 27,000 Americans would never return home from this offensive. And yet, they pressed forward, a force of courage and sacrifice carved into the soil of France. The Argonne wasn't just a battle, it was a crucible. It shattered German defenses. It shattered the myth of American inexperience. And it was the final blow. The war machine faltered. The Kaiser wavered. The end was near. November 11th, 1918. The 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. The guns fall silent. After 4 years of horror, the Great War is over. Across Europe, exhausted men lay down their weapons. And across the Atlantic, a nation exhales. In homes across America, letters stop, and sons, brothers, and fathers finally come home. Changed, weary, but alive. The war left scars, but it also left a legacy. The United States, once hesitant and distant, now stood among the great powers of the world. November 11th, 1918. At the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month, the guns fell silent. The Great War, the war to end all wars, was finally over. Across the United States, church bells rang, flags waved, and millions cheered. Troops returned home to hugs, tears, and ticket tape. But beneath the jubilation lay something deeper. America was no longer just a rising nation. It was now a global power. President Wilson dreamed of a League of Nations, of peace built on cooperation. But the scars ran deep. The war's shadow lingered, and peace would be fragile. The doughboys had crossed oceans, endured hell, and helped redraw the map. In sacrifice, they forged America's future, from muddy trenches to a seat on the world stage. This was not just a victory. This was a rebirth in steel, fire, and resolve. Nearly 60,000 U.S. Army nurses served in World War II, saving lives on frontline from North Africa to Germany. Long overlooked, their courage, sacrifice, and heroism are finally honored in this powerful account.